Welcome everyone to the game between Andrey Esipenko, who's playing at the FIDE Candidates and here entering in with his better half, and second David Paravian. And he is taking on Praggnanandhaa, who's coming to the game with his second Vaibhav Suri. A very crucial game for Pragg, I must say. He is currently on 2 out of 4 after a rest day and now needs to score wins with white especially, and he's facing Andrey Esipenko, who is not in particularly great shape in this tournament. He has had 2 draws and 2 losses in 4 rounds, and now this would be a key game. Pragg, as always, comes to the game with a banana, and his second always has a smile on his face. The players are on the board now. Andrey Esipenko with the black pieces. He has his sponsor on his jacket. It's Sokol is the name of the sponsor, while Praggnanandhaa, of course, supported by Adani Sports. As Andrey adjusts his pieces, we have Praggnanandhaa coming in. A handshake there. It's going to be 2 hours for 40 moves without any increment, and then 30 extra minutes for the remaining moves. That's the time control for you. And the players are ready. Pragg in his meditative pose. Generally, he takes his time for move number 1 as well. Let's see what he begins today with. He starts off with knight to f3. A move that Fabiano Caruana has been playing in this event. And it's a flexible move, keeping the cards open. d5 on the board. And Pragg now plays his pawn to e3. It's a very interesting way to play. Actually, if you think about it, it's like white is playing a little bit like black, where you play knight f6 and e6. So knight f3 and e3. And now plays pawn to c4. And Esipenko plays it very solidly. This is a very solid setup as black. You just go bishop e7, and next move you castle. Pragg goes for the queen side fianchetto to put his bishop on this long diagonal. Bishop comes out to e7, and bishop b2. Andrey Esipenko now has to decide between short. Yes, he goes short castling here. And Pragg plays the move bishop to e2. He brings his bishop out. And now pawn to c5. The idea of this move is to bring your knight out to c6 and then push the pawn forward to d4. And that's why Pragg takes in the center cd. Knight takes on d5. You could have taken with the pawn as well. Then usually white goes d4. But knight d5, and Pragg plays his knight out to c3. Pawn to b6 played. You want to get your bishop out to this diagonal, and I think this would be really cool. But Pragg takes. And now very important, if you take with the queen, there's a tactic. Knight e5. And I get my bishop on this diagonal, and you are in big trouble. So that's the reason why pawn takes d5 is taken. And now Pragg castles. And Andrey can play knight to c6 with the idea of pawn to d4. Now he goes bishop e6 first. Well, I have to say that after pawn to d4, I love white's position here, especially because, you know, these pieces are well positioned, and also as a d4 player, I like playing such positions with white because I can take here when I want. Black cannot take because knight d4. Although one must remember that black could be trying to potentially get the move c4, and Pragg goes bishop a6, a very, very cool move, taking away the c8 square from the black rook. And Andrey now gets his knight to f6. Maybe simply rook c1 to finish development. He goes queen e2, connecting the rooks. The rooks do belong straight on c1 and d1. That's without question. Bishop d6 played. And what is black's main ideas here? I think black's main ideas are revolving around some kingside play and a c4 break at some time. So rook c1 played, attacking the pawn on c5. Queen comes up to e7, defending the pawn, also defending the knight on f6, and Pragg goes knight e5. So maybe Pragg is trying for f4. Maybe the bishop will come back to d3, maybe rook f3, rook g3, not to h3, there the bishop is hanging there. Knight e4, okay. The knight comes to e4.
So you have to be very, very concrete here. You have absolutely no time. But they, as expected,
into the center.
Disappeared off the board in the game between Galechkin and Anna Muzachuk. So
and how does Pragg meet this? He goes rook fd1. So Pragg has made almost all the logical moves in this position. And now the onus is kind of on both the players to figure out how to continue. I mean, black now, Andrey plays rook a8. In a way, signaling to Pragg that maybe he's going to use the f pawn. That's why this rook remains on the f file. f3. Pragg kicks away the knight on e4. The knight must go back. Knight to f6. And now, queen f2. There's also possibilities of g4. I like this flexible position here. Yes, queen f2. The queen can pop out to h4. g4 in the air. Bishop can drop back to put pressure on h7. Queen comes to c7. Now this is getting intense. Say queen h4. But he goes back first, bishop d3. Okay, logical chess. I think h6 makes sense. Rook moves to c8. I believe it's time for Pragg to move his queen now to h4. But he goes f4 even. Bit surprised with this decision by Praggnanandhaa. Queen e7 played. And now queen to f3. Okay, I mean, you wanted to get the queen to h4. Suddenly Pragg changes plans. The knight is stopped from coming to e4 with this. But Andrey is like ready with his ideas. One of the main ideas we spoke about is to enable the pawn push to c4. So he's doubling down the c file. Rook d2. I think Pragg also wants to double down the c file. So I think instead of both players trying for different set of ideas, now both of them are trying to prevent and go for similar ideas. Now bishop c8. Rook comes to c2. And Andrey now, he got his bishop out to e6 first, then to c8. And now he gets it to b7. I think a very smart move, because now with this maneuver, he can get his knight to e4. Pragg goes to g3, hoping that sometime the bishop can open up and his queen and bishop can create a battery on g7. Pawn to h6 played. And Pragg goes pawn to h3. And now queen e6. Taking away maybe the f5 square from the bishop so that rook can come to c8. He goes king h1. And now rook c8, doubling down the c file. I don't think c4 is possible here because white has really very good control. But I think Pragg also does not see a way to make progress. So rook e8. King h1. Rook to c8. King h2, rook e8. The players are repeating. The game is likely to end in a draw here. King h1. And I don't know. I mean, Andrey is not claiming a draw. He's like, Pragg, if you want to draw, please claim it. Maybe it's not even the third repetition for Andrey, but still, I think he would love to try and play on this position. Pragg, on the other hand, is thinking very carefully whether he should claim the draw or not. He finally decides to call the arbiter and, you know, tell the arbiter that I'm going to play the move king h2 again. And yeah, he's claiming a threefold repetition. Well, to be honest with you, this should be a small disappointment for Pragg, because he got a good position out of the opening and he was pressing quite well, and a draw is agreed there. And he would have definitely expected more from this game, because then he would, if he would have won, he would have reached to 3 points. Sindaro is already on 4.5 now. So Pragg with his draw is 2 points behind Javokhir Sindarov to navigate such a big deficit in 9 rounds left is possible, but very difficult. And yeah, that's how tough the candidates is. Every player comes super well prepared, every player fights super hard, and it's not even easy to get one win on the scorecard. We hope that Pragg manages to fight back and score more wins here.